we got President Trump delivers some UN remarks. Apparently he popped off on some people. So we'll see what happens. We might speed. I'm gonna speed this up just a tad because I think he's gonna talk a little bit slow. Also, it's fucking almost an hour, so what's up?
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And I don't mind making this speech without a teleprompter, because the teleprompter is not working. I feel very happy to be up here with you, nevertheless, and that way you speak more from the heart.
He was making a fuss about
I can only say that whoever's operating this teleprompter is in big trouble.
He's making a fuss out of it. Everyone's talking and
hello, Madam First Lady.
Jesus.
Thank you very much for being here. And Madam President, Mr. Secretary General, First Lady of the United States, distinguished delegates, ambassadors, and world leaders. 6 years have passed since I last stood in this grand hall and addressed a world that was prosperous and at peace in my first term. Since that day, the guns of war have shattered the peace I forged on 2 continents. An era of calm and stability gave way to one of the great crises of our time. And here in the United States, 4 years of weakness, lawlessness, and radicalism under the last administration delivered our nation into a repeated set of disasters. 1 year ago, our country was in deep trouble, but today, just 8 months into my administration, we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, and there is no other country even close. America is blessed with the strongest economy, the strongest borders, the strongest military, the strongest friendships, and the strongest spirit of any nation on the face of the earth.
He's gassing
This
America
is indeed
up.
the golden age of America. We
Golden
are rapidly
age.
reversing the economic calamity we inherited from
he's got the whole cabinet.
the previous
there, too.
administration, including ruinous price
All right,
increases and
he's got
record-setting
at least
inflation. Inflation like we've never had before.
Security.
Under my leadership,
finance,
energy costs are down, gasoline prices
foreign
are down,
affairs.
grocery prices are down, mortgage rates are down, and inflation has been defeated. The only thing that's up is the stock market, which just hit a record high. In fact, it hit a record high 48 times in the last short period of time. Growth is surging, manufacturing is booming. The stock market, as I said, is doing better than it's ever done. And all of you in this room benefit by that, almost everybody. And importantly, workers' wages are rising at the fastest pace in more than 60 years. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? In 4 years of President Biden, we had less than $1 trillion of new investment into the United States. In just 8 months since I took office, we have secured commitments and money already paid for $17 trillion. Think of it, 4 years, less than $1 trillion, 8 months, much more than $17 trillion is being invested in the United States, and it's now pouring in from all parts of the world. We've implemented the largest tax cuts in American history and the largest regulation cuts in American history, making this once and again the best country on earth to do business. And many of the people in this room are investing in America, and it's turned out to be an awfully good investment during this 8-month period. In my first term, I built the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had the best economy ever in the history of the world. And I'm doing the same thing again, but this time it's actually much bigger and even better. The numbers far surpass my record-setting first term. On our southern border, we have successfully repelled a colossal invasion, and for the last 4 months, and that's 4 months in a row,
from this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well. Never sell your Bitcoin. That's a little
number of illegal aliens admitted and entering our country has been zero. Hard to believe, because if you look back just a year ago, it was millions and millions of people pouring in from all over the world, from prisons, from mental institutions, drug dealers. All over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail, or you're going back to where you came from, or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means?
We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more. We're going to win.
I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and
Wait,
professional
hold on.
drug dealers. All over the world they came. They just poured into our country with the ridiculous open border policy of the Biden administration. Our message is very simple. If you come illegally into the United States, you're going to jail, or you're going
Here's the
back to
one
where you
quote
came
right
from,
here.
or perhaps even further than that. You know what that means? I want to thank the country of El Salvador for the successful and professional job they've done in receiving and jailing so many
He's
criminals that
basically
entered our country.
everybody's saying like, "Oh my
And it
God,
was
Trump's
under
a
the previous
tyrant." Oh my
administration that
God.
The number became
Fuck, see,
record-setting,
he's Hitler. What the fuck are you
and they're
talking
all being taken out. We have no choice. And other countries have no choice
Hey,
because other
foreign
countries are
invaders
the
get
exact
lit up.
same situation with immigration.
Sucks.
It's
Sucks to
destroying your
suck.
country,
I don't know what to tell
and
you.
you have to do something about it. On the world stage,
I
America
mean,
is
it's
respected
the same
again
thing with the Coast Guard.
like it has never been
right? If the
respected
Coast Guard see you
before.
doing like something
think
like
about
super shady,
2 years ago, 3 years
or
ago, 4
you got
years
some
ago,
like
or 1 year
drug
ago,
boats out
we
there,
were a
like
laughingstock all over the world.
unmanned, they're gonna
At the
fucking
NATO
shoot
summit
you
in June,
down.
virtually all NATO members formally committed to increase defense spending
Even,
at my
even the
request
Coast Guards are
from
fucking
2% to 5%
they're
of
no
GDP,
joke.
making our alliance far stronger and more powerful.
And
it was
they
ever
operate
before.
with the same
In May, I
severity
traveled
as
to the
the
Middle
Border
East
Patrol
to visit my
because
friends
they're
and rebuild
basically
our
like
partnerships
federal
in the Gulf and
agents.
those valued relationships with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, and other countries are now, I believe, closer than ever before. My administration has negotiated one historic trade deal after another, including with the United Kingdom, the European Union, Japan, South Korea, Vietnam, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, and many, many others. Likewise, in a period of just 7 months, I have ended 7 unendable wars. They said they were unendable. You're never going to get them solved. Some were going for
You
31
can't
years.
end
2 of them,
those
31,
wars,
taken for
Trump.
31 years. One was
You're not
36
good
years.
enough.
One was 28 years. I ended 7 wars. And in all cases, they were raging with countless thousands of people being killed. This includes Cambodia and Thailand, Kosovo and Serbia, the Congo and Rwanda, a vicious, violent war that was, Pakistan and India, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Armenia and Azerbaijan. It included all of them. No president or prime minister, and for that matter, no other country has ever done anything close to that. And I did it in just 7 months. It's never happened before. There's never been anything like that. I'm very honored to have done it. It's too bad that I had to do these things instead of the United Nations doing them. And sadly, in all cases, the United Nations did not even try to help in any of them. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal. All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. But she's in great shape. We're both in good shape. We both stood. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the 2 things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
There
Thank
it
you very
is.
much.
Yeah, apparently the
And by the way, it's working
escalator
now.
was
Just one
not
on. Thank you.
working when Trump
I think I should
and
just do it the other way. It's
Melania
easier.
was going
Thank you
up the
very much.
elevator.
I didn't think of it at the time because I was
Or
too
at
busy
least
working
it
to
stopped
save
at their
millions of
feet or
lives.
something. I
That
don't
is
know
saving
the
and
extent of what
stopping of
happened.
these wars. But later I realized that the United Nations wasn't there for us. They weren't there.
Trump was saying, "Oh, the
Thought of it really
UN
after
did
the
it
fact, not during-
purposefully."
Not during these negotiations, which were not easy. That being the case, what is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous, tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up. It's empty words,
Oh no!
and empty words don't solve war.
Oh no!
The only thing that solves war and
Yeah, I
wars
mean,
is action.
unfortunately, I haven't
Now, after
seen
ending
like
all of these wars
UN,
and also
right,
earlier
like actual
negotiating the Abraham
UN
Accords, which is a very
officials or
big thing for which
soldiers, like actually
our country
do
received no credit,
anything as
never
of right
receives
now.
credit. Everyone says that I should get the Nobel Peace Prize for each one of these achievements. But for me, the real prize will be the sons and daughters who live to grow up with their mothers and fathers, because millions of people are no longer being killed in endless and unglorious wars. What I care about is not winning prizes at saving lives. We saved millions and millions of lives with the 7 wars. And we have others that we're working on, and you know that.
Wars.
Many years ago, a very successful real estate
never
developer in New York,
change.
known as Donald J. Trump, I bid on the renovation and rebuilding of this very United Nations complex. I remember it so well. I said at the time that I would do it for $500 million, rebuilding everything. It would be beautiful. I used to talk about, I'm going to give you marble floors. They're going to give you terrazzo. I'm going to give you the best of everything. You're going to have mahogany walls. They're going to give you plastic. But they decided to go in another direction, which was much more expensive at the time, and which actually produced a far inferior product. And I realized that they did not know what they were doing when it came to construction, and that their building concepts were so wrong, and the product that they were proposing to build was so bad and so costly. It was going to cost them a fortune. And I said, and wait till you see the overruns. Well, I turned out to be right. They had massive cost overruns and spent between $2 and $4 billion on the building and did not even get the marble floors that I promised them. You walk on terrazzo. Do you notice that? As far as I'm concerned, frankly, looking at the building and getting stuck on the escalator, they still haven't finished the job. They still haven't finished. That was years ago. The project was so corrupt that Congress actually asked me to
Is he just
testify
gonna call him out
before
like that?
on the tremendous waste of money.
Is this what
because
he's
it turned
gonna
out
spend
that
his speech on?
they had no idea what it was, but they knew it was anywhere between $2 and $4 billion as opposed to $500 million with a guarantee. But they had no idea, and I said it cost much more than $5 billion. Unfortunately, many things in the United Nations are happening just like that, but on an even much bigger scale, much, much bigger. Very sad to see. Whether the UN can manage to play a productive role, I've come here today to offer the hand of American leadership and friendship to any nation in this assembly that is willing to join us in forging a safer, more prosperous world. And it's a world that we'll be much happier with. A dramatically better future is within our reach. But to get there, we must reject the failed approaches of the past and work together to confront some of the greatest threats in history. There is no more serious danger to our planet today than the most powerful and destructive weapons ever devised by man, of which the United States, as you know, has many. Just as I did in my first term, I've made containing these threats a top priority, starting with the nation of Iran. My position is very simple. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never be allowed to possess the most dangerous weapon. That's why, shortly after taking office, I sent the so-called Supreme Leader a letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region and some great countries that are right nearby. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead. And 3 months ago, in Operation Midnight Hammer, 7 American B-2 bombers dropped the 14 30,000-pound each bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities, totally obliterating everything. No other country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the equipment to do what we did. We have the greatest weapons on earth. We hate to use them. But we did something that for 22 years people wanted to do. With Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity demolished, I immediately brokered an end to the 12-day war, as it's called. 30,000-pound each bombs on Iran's key nuclear facilities and some great countries that are right nearby.
Sorry, I fucked it
Today,
up. I don't remember.
A letter making a generous offer. I extended a pledge of full cooperation in exchange for a suspension of Iran's nuclear program. The regime's answer was to continue their constant threats to their neighbors and U.S. interests throughout the region and some great countries that are right nearby. Today, many of Iran's former military commanders, in fact, I can say almost all of them, are no longer with us. They're dead. And 3 months ago, in Operation Midnight Hammer, 7 American B-2 bombers dropped the 14 30,000-pound each
The original
bombs
Iran leaders,
on
they're
Iran's
all
key
dead.
nuclear facilities, totally obliterating
They were
everything.
all obliterated by
No other
Iran.
country on earth could have done what we did. No other country has the equipment
Israel.
to do what we did. We have the greatest weapons on earth.
Sorry,
We hate to
we
use
didn't
them,
do it.
but we did something that for
But we
22
had to
years people wanted to do.
Oh, it's skipped.
With Iran's
that's why.
nuclear enrichment capacity demolished, I immediately
That's what
brokered an end
threw
to
me
the
off. I was
12-day
all
war,
like,
as
wait,
it's
what?
called, between Israel and Iran, with both sides agreeing to fight no longer. As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we? Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state.
Embassy
The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, they have taken so much. This could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now. Thank you. Thank you. As we have got to come together, and we will come together, got to get it done. We have to stop the war in Gaza immediately. We have to stop it. We have to get it done. We have to negotiate. Immediately have to negotiate peace. We got to get the hostages back. We want all 20 back. We don't want 2 and 4. As you know, I got, along with Steve Witkoff and others that helped us, Marco Rubio, we got most of them back. We were involved in all of them. But I always said the last 20 are going to be the hardest, and that's exactly what happened. We have to get them back now. We don't want to get back 2, and then another 2, and then 1, and then 3. Have this process. No, we want them all back, and we want the actually 38 dead bodies back too. Those parents came to me, and they want them back, and they want them back very quickly and very badly, as though they were alive. They want them. They want them every bit as much as if their son or daughter were alive. I've also been working relentlessly stopping the killing in Ukraine. I thought that would be, of the 7 wars that I stopped, I thought that would be the easiest because of my relationship with President Putin, which had always been a good one. I thought that was going to be the easiest one. But you know, in war, you never know what's going to happen. There are always lots of surprises, both good and bad. Everyone thought Russia would win this war in 3 days, but it didn't work out that way. It was supposed to be just a quick little skirmish. It's not making Russia look good. It's making them look bad. No matter what happens from here on out, this was something that should have taken a matter of days, certainly less than a week. And they've been fighting for 3.5 years and killing anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 young soldiers, mostly soldiers, on both sides, every single week, from 5,000 to 7,000 dead young people, and some in cities, much smaller numbers, where rockets are shot, where drones are dropped. This war would never have started if I were president. This was a war that should have never happened. It shows you what leadership is, what bad leadership can do to a country. Look what happened to the United States, and look where we are right now in just a short period of time. The only question now is how many more lives will be needlessly lost on both sides. China and India are the primary funders of the ongoing war by continuing to purchase Russian oil. But inexcusably, even NATO countries have not cut off much Russian energy and Russian energy products, which, as you know, I found out about 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't happy. Think of it. They're funding the war against themselves. Who the hell ever heard of that one? In the event that Russia is not ready to make a deal to end the war, then the United States is fully prepared to impose a very strong round of powerful tariffs, which would stop the bloodshed, I believe, very quickly. But for those tariffs to be effective, European nations, all of you are gathered here right now, would have to join us in adopting the exact same measures. I mean, you're much closer to this. We have an ocean in between. You're right there. And Europe has to step it up. They can't be doing what they're doing. They're buying oil and gas from Russia while they're fighting Russia. It's embarrassing to them, and it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, I can tell you that. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia. Otherwise, we're all wasting a lot of time. So I'm ready to discuss this. We're going to discuss it today with the European nations, all gathered here. I'm sure they're thrilled to hear me speak about it, but that's the way it is. I like to speak my mind and speak the truth. As we seek to reduce the threat of dangerous weapons today, I'm also calling on every nation to join us in ending the development of biological weapons once and for all. And biological is terrible, and nuclear is even beyond, and we include nuclear in that. We want to have a cessation of the development of nuclear weapons. We know, and I get to view it all the time. Sir, would you like to see? And I look at weapons that are so powerful that We just can't ever use
Some of
them.
these people are
If we
doing
ever
the same
use
thing
them,
you're doing, sir.
the world literally might come to an end. There would be no United Nations to be talking about. There would be no nothing. Just a few years ago, reckless experiments overseas gave us a devastating global pandemic. Yet despite that worldwide catastrophe, many
talking
countries
about
are
Wuhan?
continuing extremely risky research into
Talking about
bioweapons and
COVID.
man-made pathogens. This is unbelievably dangerous. To prevent potential disasters, I'm announcing today that my administration will lead an international effort to enforce biological weapons convention, which is going to be meeting with the top leaders of the world by pioneering an AI verification system that everyone can trust. Hopefully the UN can play a constructive role, and it will also be one of the early projects under AI. Let's see how good it is, because a lot of people are saying it could be one of the great things ever, but it also can be dangerous, but it can be put to tremendous use and tremendous good, and this would be an example of that. Not only is the UN not solving the problems it should, too often, it's actually creating new problems for us to solve. The best example is the #1 political issue of our time, the crisis of uncontrolled migration. It's uncontrolled. Your countries are being ruined. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders. In 2024, the UN budgeted $372 million in cash assistance to support an estimated 624,000 migrants journeying into the United States. Think of that. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, and then we have to get them out. The UN also provided food, shelter, transportation, and debit cards to illegal aliens. Can you believe that? On the way to infiltrate our southern border. Millions of people came through that southern border. Just a year ago, millions and millions of people were pouring in, 25 million altogether over the 4 years of the incompetent Biden administration. And now we have it stopped, totally stopped. In fact, they're not even coming anymore because they know they can't get through. But what took place is totally unacceptable. The UN is supposed to stop invasions, not create them and not finance them. In the United States, we reject the idea that mass numbers of people from foreign lands can be permitted to travel halfway around the world, trample our borders, violate our sovereignty, cause unmitigated crime, and deplete our social safety net. We have reasserted that America belongs to the American people, and I encourage all countries to take their own stand in defense of their citizens as well. You have to do that because I see it. I'm not mentioning names. I see it, and I can call every single one of them out. You're destroying your countries. They're being destroyed. Europe is in serious trouble. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like nobody's ever seen before. Illegal aliens are pouring into Europe. Nobody is ever, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable. And because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing just absolutely nothing about it. And I have to say, I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed, so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that. Both the immigration and their suicidal energy ideas will be the death of Western Europe if something is not done immediately. This cannot be sustained. What makes the world so beautiful is that each country is unique. But to stay this way, every sovereign nation must have the right to control their own borders. You have the right to control your borders, as we do now, and to limit the sheer numbers of migrants entering their countries and paid for by the people of that nation that were there and that built that particular nation at the time. They put their blood, sweat, tears, money into that country, and now they're being ruined. Proud nations must be allowed to protect their communities and prevent their societies from being overwhelmed by people they have never seen before, with different customs, religions, with different everything. Where migrants have violated laws, lodged false asylum claims, or claimed refugee status for illegitimate reasons, they should, in many cases, be immediately sent home. And while we will always have a big heart for places and people that are struggling and truly compassionate, answers will be given. We have to solve the problem, and we have to solve it in their countries, not create new problems in our countries. And we are very helpful to a lot of countries that are just not able to send their people anymore. They used to send them to us in caravans of 25, 30,000 people each. These massive caravans of people pouring into our country, totally unchecked and unvetted. But not anymore. According to the Council of Europe in 2024, almost 50% of inmates in German prisons were foreign nationals or migrants. In Austria, the number was 53% of the people in prisons were from places that weren't from where they are now. In Greece, the number was 54%, and in Switzerland, beautiful Switzerland, 72% of the people in prisons are from outside of Switzerland. When your prisons are filled with so-called asylum seekers who repaid kindness, and that's what they did. They repaid kindness with crime. It's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
The other thing
America,
is, it's not even just that. When people think of closed borders, they mean no programs, no right, no. It just means you gotta stop people from trying to rush in, dude. You gotta stop people from cheating the system. You gotta stop people from trying to go through the fucking border without the proper credentials. Like, what are you doing?
Taken bold action to swiftly shut down uncontrolled migration. Once we started detaining and deporting everyone who crossed the border and removing illegal aliens from the United
Because
States.
every time that
We're
happens,
getting a lot of credit, but they're not coming anymore.
once they get through
This
that
was a humanitarian
fucking border,
for all
they're
involved, because
they're
on the trips up,
fucking
thousands
an
of people a
illegal
week were dying.
alien.
Women were being raped.
Right? They're breaking
Nobody's ever
federal
seen anything
crime
like it.
laws,
Rape.
dude.
Horribly
They're breaking
beaten,
federal
raped.
law.
On
You
the
know
trip
how
up, the
fucking
journey
bad
up, it was
that
a
is?
long-
That's real bad.
It was a long walk.
That
It
means
was
you
a
will
long,
never
arduous
be able to
journey.
come
Indeed.
back into the
It
fucking
was also
country.
a
You
historic
understand that,
victory
right?
against human
Once they
trafficking
find you, you're
throughout
fucked.
the region. What we did was a victory.
You'd be
and we
even
saved
lucky if they
so
allow
many
you
lives
back
of people
into the
that
country.
wouldn't make the journey. That journey was loaded up with death. Loaded up with death. Dead bodies all along the roads of jungles. To get up, they go through jungles. They go through areas so hot you couldn't breathe. They
Like,
were
why
dying of
would you?
suffocation.
Like,
Areas so hot
America is
that you couldn't breathe.
pretty open in the sense
bodies
that
all over.
if you have the
By them not
if
coming,
you
we're
have
saving
the funding,
tremendous
you can
numbers
get
of
over here.
lives. My people have done
Right.
a fantastic job in doing what they did, and the American public
But no, people want
agrees
to
with it. I
cheat
mean,
the
I was very
system
proud
and
to
then
see
try
this
and
morning
get
have the highest
themselves
poll numbers they've ever
killed,
had. Part of
right?
it is
Use
because of what we've
the
done
use
on
the
the border. I
coyotes.
guess the other part is what we've done in the
Right.
economy. Joe Biden's policies empowered murderous gangs, human
Use
smugglers,
these
child traffickers, drug
flyers
cartels,
or
and
corridors
prisoners
that
from
these
all over the
people
world.
put up.
The previous administration also lost nearly 300,000 children. Think of that. They lost more than 300,000 children, little children, who were trafficked into the United States on the Biden watch, many of whom have been raped, exploited, and abused, and sold. Sold. Nobody talks about that. The fake news doesn't write about it. With many others, young children.
Obviously, the
who are
fake
missing
news
or
doesn't
dead.
talk a lot about
And
fucking
we found
human
a lot of
trafficking.
these children, and we're sending them back.
Let's be real.
And we've been sending them back to their parents.
You
They said,
you have to
nobody knows who they are.
honestly
They said, where do you
look
come from? And they'll give us a
search
country,
lot
and
of
we'll
that
find
stuff
out, and we'll
up
figure it out,
on
and we'll
your
bring them
own.
back to their
Because
homes.
they don't.
And the mother
They're
and
not
father
going
rushed
to
to the
show
door,
you
and
that
tears
on
in their
national
eyes.
TV.
They can't believe
They
that
don't
they're
want
seeing
to
their
show
son or
you
daughter,
the
their little son or
fucking
daughter
the
again.
grim
We've
dark
done almost
right of
30,000
the fucking
of them
world.
so far. Any
I
system
mean, yeah,
that
they may
results in the
show
mass
like
trafficking of
some
children
crazy
is
like
inherently
high
evil.
profile shit.
Yet that is exactly what the
But at the
globalist
same time,
migration
they won't
agenda has done.
right.
and
They
it's what
won't
it's all
look
about.
at the
In
dark
America, those days, as you
underbelly,
know, are
right?
over. The Trump administration
do
is
that.
working, and we are continuing to work
There's
to
other
track down
there's other
the villains that are
sources
causing
where
this
you
problem.
can get that information.
And also, as I said, to get back the 30,000 we've already returned. Now I think we're going to have another. We're going to find a lot. You're not going to find all of them. More than 300,000. They're lost
I mean, you
or they're
have
dead.
some news outlets
lost or
that
they're
talk
dead
about some of that
because
stuff.
of the
but
animals that
even
did
then,
this.
they do it
To protect
they
our
do it
citizens, I've also designated
very
multiple
low
savage drug
frequency,
cartels
right?
as far as
They don't
you
do
see
it too
this, and you
much.
see it happening right before your eyes. Let's put it this way: people don't like taking big loads of drugs in boats anymore. There aren't too many boats that are traveling on the seas by Venezuela. They tend not to want to travel very quickly anymore. And we've virtually stopped drugs coming
Someone's
into
like, "Hey,
our
what
country
the
by
fuck?"
sea. We call them the water drugs. They kill hundreds of thousands of people. I've also
Is
designated
Maduro
multiple
here? I wonder.
savage drug cartels as far as foreign terrorist organizations, along with two bloodthirsty transnational gangs, probably the worst gangs anywhere in the world, MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is from Venezuela, by the way. Such organizations torture, maim, mutilate, and murder with impunity. They're the enemies of all humanity. For this reason, we've recently
that's
begun
another
using
thing,
the
too.
supreme power of the United States
Yeah, some of
military
these places dump
destroy
their
Venezuela
well, I don't know if they're dumping
trafficking
their
networks led
gangs
by
into right these other
Nicolas
countries.
Maduro.
But
Every
they're
terrorist thug
definitely
smuggling
allowing
poisonous
these
drugs into
people
the
to
United
leave
States
the
of America.
country,
Please be warned that we will
right, and then ship
blow you out of
ship them
existence.
off
That's
to
what we're doing.
somewhere.
We have no
right?
choice. Can't let it happen. They're destroying-
Because when
I believe
because
we
when
lost
they process
300,000
them,
people
they're
last year
not
to
part of
drugs,
this country,
300,000.
right? Once they get
Fentanyl and
DNA
other
and
drugs.
like all the
Each boat that we sink
right.
carries drugs that would kill
once they start
more than
asking questions, it's
25,000
like, wait a
Americans.
minute,
We
you're
will
not even
not let that
not
happen.
even close.
Energy is another
Like,
area
why
where
the
the United
fuck
States
are you-
is now
how'd you
thriving
get
like
here?
never before. We're getting rid of the falsely named renewables. By the way, they're a joke. They don't work. They're too expensive. They're not strong enough to fire up the plants that you need to make your country great. The wind doesn't blow. Those big windmills are so pathetic and so bad, so expensive to operate. And they have to be rebuilt all the time.
That's why
They
they
start
put the
to rust
climate
and rot.
change tag at the bottom.
Most
It's
expensive
because it's
energy ever
talking about
conceived,
climate
and
change.
It's actually energy. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. You lose money, the governments have to subsidize. You can't put them out without massive subsidies. And most of them are built in China, and I give China a lot of credit. They build them, but they very few wind farms. So why is it that they build them and they send them all over the world, but they barely use them? You know what they use? Coal. They use gas. They use almost anything, but they don't like wind. But they sure as hell like selling
Aren't
the
they
windmills.
about to use
Europe, on
nuclear
the other
again?
hand, has a long way to go, with many countries being on the brink of destruction because of the green energy agenda. And I give a lot of credit to Germany. Germany was being led
Wasn't
down
there
a
a
very sick
nuclear
path.
plant about to be
Both on immigration,
reopened
by the
because
way,
they
and on
needed the
energy.
energy?
They were going green, and they were going bankrupt. And the new leadership came in, and they went back to where they were, with fossil fuel and with nuclear, which is good. It's now safe, and you can do it properly. But they went back to where they were, and they opened up a lot of different plants, energy-producing plants, and they're doing well. I give Germany a lot of credit for that. They've said this is a disaster, what's happening. They were going all green. All green is all bankrupt. That's what it represents. And it's not politically correct. I'll
Oh,
be very
no,
badly
there's another
criticized for saying
nuclear
it, but
plant.
I'm here to tell the truth. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me.
Apparently,
I'm
they're
in New
going
York
to
City. I'm feeling a
the
lot safer.
Palisades
Crime, we're getting
nuclear
crime
plant
down.
in Michigan.
And by the way,
Apparently,
speaking
they
of
wanna
crime,
start that
Washington,
back
D.C.
up.
Washington, D.C. was the crime capital of America. Now it's a totally, after 12 days, it's a totally safe city. Everyone's going out to dinner. They're going out to restaurants. Your wife can walk down the middle of the street with or without you. Nothing's going to happen.
This one, the 3
My
Mile
people have done a
Island
fantastic
plant
job.
could
And
be
yes, I called in the National Guard, and the National Guard took care of business. And
rebirth
they
of
weren't politically
nuclear
correct,
energy.
but they took care of business. We got 1,700 career criminals out, brought them back to where they came from, the countries where they came from, or put them in jails. Washington, D.C. is now a totally safe city again, and I welcome you to come. In fact, we'll have dinner together at a local restaurant, and we'll be able to walk. We don't have to go by an armor-plated vehicle. We'll walk right over there from the White House. They've given up their
I forgot where.
powerful edge, a lot of the countries that we're talking about in
three
oil and gas,
plant
such as
Pencil- oh,
essentially
it's in
closing
Pennsylvania.
the great North Sea oil. Oh, the North Sea, I know it so well.
They wanna
Aberdeen
reopen
was
that one too.
the oil capital of Europe, and there's tremendous oil that hasn't been found in the North Sea. Tremendous oil. And I was with the Prime Minister I respect and like a lot, and I said, you're sitting with the greatest asset. They essentially closed it by making it so highly taxed that no developer, no oil company can go there. They have tremendous oil left, and more importantly, they have tremendous oil that hasn't even been found yet. And what a tremendous asset for the United Kingdom.
I thought an overseas
And I hope
country
the Prime
wanted
Minister
to
is listening,
open
because I
the
told it to him
fucking
3 days in a row. That's all we
reopen
heard.
their
North Sea oil, North Sea, because I want to see them do well. I want to stop seeing
nuclear
them ruining that
facility,
beautiful
too, because they needed
Scottish
the
and
energy.
English countryside
What?
with windmills and massive solar panels that go 7 miles by 7 miles, taking away farmland. But we're not letting this happen
how's it
in
going,
America. In
Rex?
1982, the
he's not
executive
talking
director of
much
the United
about
Nations
Germany.
Environmental Program predicted that by the year 2000, climate change would cause a
He's just
global
talking about
catastrophe.
a
He
climate
said that it will
change,
be irreversible, as any
shenanigans.
nuclear holocaust would be. This is what they said at the United Nations. What happened?
He
Here
was
we
just
are.
making fun of
Another
Germany
UN
and
official stated in
how they
1989
don't
that
really
within a
have freedom
decade,
of
entire
speech
nations could be wiped off
because
the
they
map
were like jailing
by
people
global warming. Not happening.
for
You know, it used to
for
be global cooling. If you look back
making vague
years
posts
ago in the 1920s and the 1930s,
or
they said,
making jokes
global
on
cooling
Twitter
will kill
or
the
social
world.
media
We have to do
platforms or
something.
making right.
Then they said
he-
global
what
warming
they
will kill
deemed
the
hate
world.
speech
but then it started
or
getting
whatever.
cooler, so now they could just call it climate change,
Remember
because
that?
that way they can't miss. It's climate change. Because if it goes higher or lower, whatever the hell
Remember
happens,
that
it's
whole
climate change.
debacle?
It's the
Nah,
greatest
not
con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion. Climate change, no matter what happens, you're involved in that. No more global warming, no more global cooling. All of these predictions made by the United Nations and many others, often for bad reasons,
Also, he's
were
just
wrong.
Honestly,
They were
this
made
whole
by
his whole UN speech is just him right, him going at the UN and basically all the countries who've been doing some weird shit, right?
stupid people that have
He's
cost their
just-
countries
he's just
fortunes
going
and
after
given those same
everybody.
countries no chance for success. If you don't get away from this green
Tagging
scam,
everyone.
your country is going to
Hey,
fail.
you did this.
And I'm
Why?
really good at
Hey,
predicting
you
things.
did this.
They
Why?
actually said during the
Hey, you did
campaign
this. Why?
they had a hat.
Hey, why are you
The
fucking us
best-selling
over?
hat.
Hey,
Trump was right
hey,
about
you.
everything.
Why you?
And I
why
don't say
you
that in a
fucking us
braggadocious
over?
way, but it's
Yeah,
true.
you.
I've been right about everything. And I'm telling you that if you don't get away from the green energy scam,
Why
your
do
country
you
is going
guys
to
hate
fail.
nuclear
And if
energy?
you don't
Yeah,
stop
you. Yeah, you
people
people.
that you've never seen before, that you have nothing in common with, your country is going to fail. I'm the president of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake, and they cannot let that happen any longer. You're doing it because you want to be nice. You want to be politically correct, and you're destroying your
Yeah.
heritage.
Oh, yeah. That too.
They
Yeah.
must take
He's
control
also
strongly and immediately
yeah,
of
the
the
whole
unmitigated
political
immigration
correctness
disaster and the fake energy
spiel
catastrophe
that's been going on for
before
like
it's
the
too
last
late.
10
The
years
carbon
needs to fucking
footprint
die.
is a hoax
It needs
made
to
up by people
fucking
with
sail.
evil intentions.
That
and they're
shit
heading down a
needs to
path
fucking sail. That,
of total
that thing needs
destruction.
to
You know, the carbon
die
footprint was a
in
big, big
the
thing
fucking Davy Jones
a
locker
few years ago.
and never come back.
I remember hearing about the carbon footprint, and then President Obama would get into Air Force One, a massive Boeing 747, and not a new one, an old one with old engines that spew everything into the atmosphere. He'd talk about the carbon footprint, we must do so. Then he'd get in, and he'd fly from Washington to Hawaii to play a round of golf. And then he'd get back onto that big, beautiful plane, and he'd fly back, and he'd talk about, again, global warming and the carbon footprint. It's a con job. At extreme cost and expense, Europe reduced its own carbon footprint by 37%.
Oh
Think
yeah,
of that.
please,
Congratulations,
please
Europe.
eat
Great job.
these foods
Cost
to
yourself a lot of
reduce your
jobs,
carbon
a lot of factories
footprint.
closed, but you reduced the carbon footprint by
Please plant these
37%.
trees to
However,
reduce your carbon
for all of that
footprint.
sacrifice and much more, it's been totally wiped out and then some by a global increase
Yes,
of 54%.
this is how we measured how your
Much of it coming from China
how your
and other
carbon footprint
countries
is. Like, dude,
that
get
are
the
thriving
fuck out.
around China.
Dude, you know how
which now
minuscule that
produces
shit is?
more CO2
No one
than all
fucking
the other
cares.
developed nations in the world. So all of these countries are working so hard on the carbon
You
footprint,
guys have been
which is
touting
nonsense,
that
by the
shit
way.
ever since
It's
I've been
nonsense.
dead, or not
You know,
even
it's interesting.
alive.
In the
Not
United
even
States, we have
born.
still radicalized environmentalists,
Yeah, I guess you
and they
could
want
say
the factories
dead.
to stop. Everything should stop.
'Cause
No
I
more
wasn't
cows. We don't
alive.
want cows
I was
anymore. I guess they
never
want to
born
kill
yet.
all the cows. They want to do things that are just unbelievable, and you have it too. But you know, we have a border, strong, and we have a shape, and that shape doesn't just go straight up. That shape is amorphous when it comes to the atmosphere. And if we had the most clean air, and I
what?
think we do, we have
Oh,
very
the
clean air with the
nuclear
cleanest air
plants?
we've had
Oh,
in
yeah.
many, many years.
Yeah, the
But
nuclear
the problem
plant.
is that
You
other
don't.
countries,
Yeah,
like
you don't
China,
have to build
which has air
the
that's a little bit
nuclear
rough,
silos like that.
it blows. And no
I mean,
matter what
as
you're doing
long
down
as it
here,
right
the air up here
disperses the
tends to get very dirty
the
because
vapor
it comes in from
and
other countries where
whatnot
their air
because you
isn't
need
so
to
clean.
cool the right.
And the environmentalists refuse to
You need to
acknowledge
cool
that.
down your fucking
Same thing
facility.
with garbage.
Right.
In
so,
Asia, they dump much of
as
their
long
garbage
as it
right into the
ventilates
ocean.
and cools down
And
your
over about
facility
a 1 week
properly,
and
it
2
doesn't
week
matter.
journey, it flows right past Los Angeles. You've seen it. Massive amounts of garbage, almost too much to do anything about, flowing past Los Angeles,
Garbage.
past San Francisco, and then somebody will get in trouble because he dropped a cigarette on the beach.
You should talk about the
The
poop
whole
map,
thing
Trump.
is crazy. The primary effect of
sorry,
these
don't
brutal
talk
green
about
energy
the poop
policies
map.
has
You don't want to
not
know
been
about the
to
poop
help
map.
the environment, but to redistribute
You
manufacturing.
don't want to
and
know about the
industrial
poop map
activity
in
from developed
California.
countries
Don't
that
look it
follow
up.
the
It's bad for you.
insane rules that are put down to polluting
If you're ever
countries
in
that break the rules
California and you
and are
go
making a fortune.
to
They're
what is
making
it,
a
San
fortune.
Francisco and
European
San,
electricity
I think
bills
even
are
San
now 4 to 5
Diego.
times more
Might
expensive
want to
than those
pull
in
up.
China, and 2 to 3 times higher than the United States. And our bills are coming way down. You probably see that our gasoline prices are way down. You know, we have an expression, drill, baby, drill, and that's what we're doing. We're going to be much lower in a year from now. But they've come way down over the last
Disco
year.
Inferno,
As a result, every
drill, baby,
air conditioner
drill.
is like very uncommon to see one
Hell
in some of these
yeah.
countries because the electric costs are so high. So while the U.S. has approximately 1,300 heat-related deaths annually, that's a lot, Europe
Yeah.
loses more than 175,000
People
people to
die
heat
from
deaths
heat
each year.
stroke very
Because the cost is so
easily,
expensive, you can't turn on an air
to be honest.
conditioner. What is
Especially
that
when
all
you're
about? That's
working
not Europe.
outside,
That's not the
when you're
Europe that I love and know.
dehydrated, when
All
you're
in the name of
outside in
pretending
the
to stop
blazing bright
the
sun.
global warming
But
hoax.
you gotta be careful.
The entire globalist concept of
And
asking
people just
successful
don't pay
industrialized
attention
nations to
sometimes, or
inflict
they
pain on
overwork
themselves
themselves,
and
and then
radically
they-
disrupt
they-
their entire societies must be
stroke
rejected
themselves out, right?
completely and totally, and it must be immediate. That's why in America I
basically,
withdrew
they
from
go
the
into cardiac
fake
arrest
Paris
and then
Climate
die.
Accord, where, by the way, America was paying so much more than every country. Others weren't paying. China didn't have to pay until 2030. Russia was given an old standard that was easy to meet, a 1990 standard. But for the United States, we're supposed to pay like $1 trillion. And I said, this is another scam. The fact is, the United States has been taken advantage of by the world for many, many years, but not any longer, as you probably noticed. I unleashed massive energy production and signed historic executive orders to hunt for oil, but we don't have to do much hunting because we have the most oil of any nation anywhere, oil and gas in the world. And if you add coal, we have the most of any nation in the world. Clean, I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can do things today with coal that you couldn't have done 10 years ago, 15 years. So I have a little standing order in the White House. Never use the word coal, only use the words clean, beautiful coal. Sounds much better, doesn't it? But we stand ready to provide any country with abundant, affordable energy supplies if you need them, when most of you do. We're proudly exporting energy all over the world. We're now the largest exporter. In the United States, we want trade and robust commerce with all nations, everybody. We want to help nations. We're going to help nations. But it must also be fair and reciprocal. The challenge with trade is much the same with climate. The countries that followed the rules, all their factories have been plundered. It's really sad to watch. They've been broken. They've been broken by countries that broke the rules. That's why the United States is now applying
You
tariffs
broke
to
the
other countries.
rules.
And much
Now
as
pull
these
out
tariffs
your
were,
pubic
for many years,
hair.
applied to us, uncontrollably applied to us, we've used
Right.
tariffs as a defense mechanism
Unfortunately, Jack
under
Black
the
has
Trump
gone to the
administration,
dark side
including
and
my first term, where
he's
hundreds
sucking
of billions of
Biden's
dollars in
dick.
tariffs were taken in. And by the way, we had the lowest inflation, and now we have very low inflation. The only thing different is that we have
Well, I
hundreds
mean,
of
he's
billions
gone
of
to the
dollars flowing
Jedi
into our
side
country.
where they
But this
suck
is how
off
we
each
will
other.
ensure that the system works for
And they
everyone
kill off
and
children,
is
yeah.
sustainable into the future. We're also using tariffs to defend our
Sorry,
sovereignty and
goddamn.
security throughout the world, including against nations that have taken advantage of former U.S. administrations for decades, including the most corrupt, incompetent administration in history, the sleepy Joe Biden administration. Brazil now faces
He can never
major
stop.
tariffs in
He can
response
never
to its
stop bringing up how
unprecedented
fucking
efforts
Joe
to
ruined
interfere in
everything.
the rights and freedoms of our American citizens and others, with censorship,
He always has
repression,
to bring that up,
weaponization,
dude.
judicial
In every
corruption,
speech, it's always been.
and targeting of political critics in
In
the
every
United
speech
States.
he's
I have a
ever.
little problem
I'm pretty
saying this
sure
because I must tell you,
every speech
I was walking in
he's
and the leader of
ever
Brazil was walking
said,
out. We saw him, and
He calls out
I saw him,
Sleepy
he saw me,
Joe
and we
every
embraced.
time.
And then I'm saying, can you believe I'm going to be saying this in just 2 minutes?
Oh, it's
But we actually
Brazil.
agreed that we would meet next week.
Hey,
We didn't have much
Bolsonaro,
time
what
to talk,
happened
like
to your
about
buddy
20 seconds.
Bolsonaro?
They were, in retrospect, I'm glad I waited because this thing didn't work out too well.
Why were they freaking
But
out right there?
We did
by the
talk.
way?
We had a good talk, and we agreed to meet next week, if that's of interest. But he seemed like a very nice man, actually. He liked me, I liked him. But if you, and I only do business with people I like. When I don't like them, I don't like them. But we had, at least for about 39 seconds, we had excellent chemistry. It's a good sign. But also in the past, Brazil, can you believe this, unfairly tariffed our nation, but now because of our tariffs, we are hitting them back, and we're hitting them back very hard. As president, I will always defend our national sovereignty and the rights of American citizens. So I'm very sorry to say this, that Brazil is doing poorly and will continue to do poorly. They can only do well when they're working with us. Without us, they will fail, just as
Dude,
others
he's
have
just-
failed.
he's
True.
just-
Next year,
he's
the
just-
United States will celebrate the 250th anniversary
He's
of our
just
glorious
trying to
independence,
just-
a
he's just
testament
trying
to
to
enduring
nuke
power and
every
American freedom and
country.
spirit.
Yeah.
We will also be proudly hosting the 2026 FIFA World Cup.
He's calling
and
out
certainly
every
thereafter
country
the
that
2028
who's
Olympics. It's
fucking
going to be very exciting.
who
I hope you all come.
sidelined him in a sense.
I hope that countless people from all over the globe will take part of these will be great celebrations of liberty and human achievement, and that together we all can rejoice in the miracles of history that began in July 4th, 1776, when we founded the light to all nations. And it's something really that an amazing thing came out of that date. It's called the United States of America. In honor of this momentous anniversary, I hope that all countries who find inspiration in our example will join us in renewing our commitment, values, and those values, really, that we hold so dear together. Let us defend free speech and free expression. Let us protect religious liberty, including for the most persecuted religion on the planet today. It's called Christianity. And let us safeguard our sovereignty and cherish qualities that have made each of our nations so special, incredible, and extraordinary. In closing, I just want to repeat that immigration and the high cost of so-called green renewable energy is destroying a large part of the free world and a large part of our planet. Countries that cherish freedom are fading fast because of their policies on these two subjects. You need strong borders and traditional energy sources if you are going to be great again. Whether you have come from north or south, east or west, near or far, every leader in this beautiful hall today represents a rich culture, a noble history, and a proud heritage that makes each nation majestic and unique, unlike anything else in human history or any other place on the face of the earth. From London to Lima, from Rome to Athens, from Paris to Seoul, from Cairo to Tokyo and Amsterdam to right here in New York City, we stand on the shoulders of the leaders and legends, generals and giants, heroes and titans who won and built our beloved nations, all of our nations, with their own courage, strength, spirit, and skill. Our ancestors climbed mountains, conquered oceans, crossed deserts, and trekked over wide open plains. They charged into thunderous battles, plunged into grave dangers, and they were soldiers and farmers and workers and warriors and explorers and patriots. They built towns into cities, tribes into kingdoms, ideas into industries, and small islands into mighty empires. You're a part of all of that. They were champions for their people who never gave up and who never, ever gave in. Their values defined our national identities. Their visions forged our magnificent destiny. Everybody in this room is a part of it in your own way. Each of us inherits the deeds and the myths, the triumphs, the legacies of our own heroes and founders who so bravely showed us the way. Our ancestors gave everything for homelands that they defended with pride, with sweat, with blood, with life, and with death. Now the righteous task of protecting the nations that they built belongs to each and every one of us. So together let us uphold our sacred duty to our people and to our citizens. Let us protect their borders, ensure their safety, preserve their cultures, treasure, and traditions, and fight, fight, fight for their precious dreams and their cherished freedoms. And in friendship and really a beautiful vision, let us all work together to build a bright, beautiful planet, a planet that we all share, a planet of peace and a world that is richer, better, and more beautiful than ever before. That can happen. It will happen. It will happen, and I hope it can happen and start right now, right at this moment. We'll turn it around. We're going to make our countries better, safer, more beautiful. We're going to take care of our people. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless the nations of the world. Thank you very much. Bye.
There you have it. I don't think he really...
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the United States.
That was more of a speech on criticizing a lot of like the other countries who are allowing the bullshit, right? That was an interesting one. And he talked about climate change. He talked about nuclear power, how some places are starting to start back up nuclear power. He talked about how the new Green Deal was a sham and right, all that climate change, fucking mumbo jumbo buffoonery, right, is all bull crap, right? There you have it. There you have it. This is from the White House. The White House. I will leave it in the description as usual if you want to check it out. There it is. Trump being Trump at the UN speech he put up. Oh man. Away. We got White House exposes dangerous plot to humiliate Trump and Melania at the UN. The White House slammed UN security by claiming they had staff deliberately turn off escalators to embarrass President Trump before his furious speech to world leaders. Yeah, and we saw that he was kind of PO'd about that, apparently. He was making all sorts of fuss, right? Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were forced to walk up an escalator on Tuesday when it suddenly broke as the couple entered the UN headquarters in Manhattan. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt immediately cited a report by The Times on Sunday that noted UN staff had joked that they could turn off the escalators and elevators in the building. The pranksters reportedly planned to make Trump walk up the stairs and simply tell him they ran out of money. If someone at the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as the president and first lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately, Leavitt fumed in a post on X. The mishap seemed to set the tone for Trump's fiery tirade, with the president later sneering, "All I got from the United Nations was an escalator on the way up that stopped in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen." Trump's speech left world leaders stunned as he also accused the UN of funding an assault on the West through immigration and warned Europe is going to hell. I mean, hey, I don't want to blame the UN, but yeah, the UN is to blame for some of their bullshit. Right. If someone on the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as the president and first lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately. So yeah, there's that post. The president called for an end to the failed experiment of open borders as he lauded the success of his own hardline immigration crackdown. Or, honestly, you should do what Bukel's doing too. The United Nations is funding an assault on Western countries and their borders, he said during a blistering attack on organizations before world leaders in New York City. The UN is supporting people that are illegally coming into the United States, he said, pointing to the cash support the organization and had supplied the migrants. He said the UN is supposed to protect countries from invasions and not create them and not finance them, asserting that uncontrolled migration was the top issue of our time in a speech lasting nearly an hour, intended to last 15 minutes. I mean, yeah, he did kind of repeat himself a little bit there. I mean, don't get me wrong, he did repeat himself sometimes. I guess he was just trying to prove his point, but even then. Anyways. Addressing Western allies, he said plainly, "Your countries are being ruined by uncontrollable immigration." Also, I think he went off... right, I think it took longer because he went off the rails. I think it probably would have been a shorter speech if he didn't go off the rails a little bit too much, right? Europe is in serious trouble, he added, by way of illustration. They've been invaded by a force of illegal aliens like no one has ever seen before, and nobody's doing anything to change it, to get them out. It's not sustainable, and because they choose to be politically correct, they're doing absolutely nothing about it, and I kind of agree with them. Right, all these countries want to do the political correctness game, even though everyone's political correctness is fucking different. Because everyone's fucking government system's different. I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, and it's been so changed, he said, turning his attention to nemesis Sadiq Khan before claiming, "Now they want to go to Sharia law, but you're in a different country. You can't do that." I mean, it's right because Sadiq Khan sounded like he was trying to invoke Sharia law within his own country. A spokesperson for Sadiq Khan's office said, "We're not going to dignify his appalling and bigoted comments with the London is the greatest city in the world, safer than the major U.S. cities, and we're delighted to welcome the record number of U.S. citizens moving here." Watched by the world, Trump used his speech to boast of his own accomplishments during his first term in office, while criticizing the efforts of the United Nations. Honestly, I didn't like too much of his first term either. He screwed with the guns too much. He fucked with a lot of trade. Right. Also, his people in the back were warmongering. Right. There was a lot of back and forth. He didn't get a lot done. He kept getting stonewalled at certain points. It was like, honestly, his first term wasn't the greatest, right? His second term, oh man, it was a lot better. Anyways, in a wandering address, he also took aim at European nations for continuing to buy Russian oil and gas. Yeah, he brought that up again, adding that he would not impose sanctions on Moscow over the war in Ukraine until Western allies cut off their purchases. It's embarrassing to them, and it was very embarrassing to them when I found out about it, he said. They have to immediately cease all energy purchases from Russia. Otherwise, we're all wasting a lot of time. European nations have reduced imports from Russia since the February 2022 invasion, but continue to purchase gas. On the threat of war, Trump reiterated claims he had ended 7 conflicts around the world, while criticizing the United Nations for not offering assistance. Well, I mean, they never offer you assistance, right? Trump has claimed right, they only offer assistance when it's in their borders, right? But seeing as it's not, right, the United States is not in their borders, I mean, obviously it should be, but because international law and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, fucking, they're hypocrites. Trump has claimed responsibility for brokering peace deals between Armenia, Azerbaijan, Cambodia, and Thailand, Israel and Iran, India and Pakistan, Rwanda and the DRC, Egypt and Ethiopia, and Serbia and Kosovo. I ended 7 wars, dealt with the leaders of each and every one of these countries, and never even received a phone call from the United Nations offering to help in finalizing the deal he claimed. He's like making jokes. Fucking UN. I mean, it's true though. Right? Whenever shit hits the fan, right? Especially when it's right, the big superpower countries start getting into it. Like, why hasn't the UN stepped in? Why does a why does a superpower country have to step in? Right? This should be UN's purpose, right? As a United Nations, right? They have their own, right, police force and or army they can use. Like, what are you doing? All they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter. It's empty words, and empty words don't solve war. I've been said the UN has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. Trump also complained about the broken escalator and teleprompter at the New York headquarters of the UN, which he has reportedly targeted during both of his presidential terms. These are two things I got from the United Nations: a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. For a speech which began with a teleprompter, without a teleprompter, digressed as he went off script. Here we go. Pictures. Holy shit! How long? Oh, okay, it's almost done. Trump did acknowledge two major conflicts where his outreach has produced no results. Yes, Russia, Ukraine, and Israel, Gaza. Following Hamas's October 7, 2023 attack. He called recognition by a state of Washington's allies of a Palestinian state a reward to armed group Hamas for horrible atrocities, and urged the group to release hostages to reach. Yeah, I don't think they want to do that. While praising his own efforts to broker peace, Trump also lauded his decisions to order U.S. military to carry out one strike on Iran, and more recently against alleged drug smugglers from Venezuela. He went on to champion the decision to bring the National Guard into Washington, D.C. to crack down on crime, a move derided by critics as echoing authoritarianism. Oh my goodness. Totalitarian! He's a tyrant! He's the boogeyman! Fucking Orange Man is the boogeyman, get him! D.C. is now a totally safe city again, he said, adding that while his decision was not politically correct, it did the job. Trump also branded climate change a scam against the dominant scientific view. There are some audible gasps, and several delegates shook their heads to BBC. I mean, I hate this. I mean, it's not a complete scam, but the people who are running like these organizations who try to force you to to comply with crazy regulations where you already have crazy regulations out the wazoo, it's like, yeah, dude, fuck off. Anyways, again, he said claim change was the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, dismissing the threat and laying into the UK. I want to stop seeing them ruining that beautiful Scottish English countryside with windmills and massive solar panels that go 7 feet miles by 7 miles. Taking away farmland, Trump told the assembly, but we're not letting this happen in America. Trump describes North Sea oil as so highly taxed that no developer, no oil company can go there. He said they've given up their powerful edge a lot of the countries that we're talking about in oil and gas, such as essentially closing the Great North Sea oil. Trump referred to his visit to Britain last week, revealing that he had repeatedly urged Sir Keir to drill more fossil fuels. Trump's second term has opened the blaze of nationalist policies, curbing cooperation with the rest of the world. Oh, we're gonna take all the globalists. He has moved to pull the United States out of the World Health Organization and the UN Climate Pact, severely curtailed U.S. development assistance, and wielded sanctions against foreign judges over rulings he sees as violating sovereignty. Well, I mean, if the judges are breaking the rules and trying to stop Trump on frivolous basis, then just as you're not supposed to put in false police reports or frivolous lawsuits, the same with the judge. Shouldn't be making frivolous or false claims that this person's trying to do something. Anyways. He has moved to pull the United States out of the war. Oh, we already were. Opening the annual summit, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned that aid cuts led by the United States were wreaking havoc in the world. There you have it. What kind of world will we choose? A world of raw power? Or a world of laws, Gutierrez said. I mean, just have a world where people aren't being a piece of shit. Anyway, on Ukraine, Trump will meet President Vladimir Zelensky for the second time since he sat down in Alaska with the Russian President Vladimir Putin on August 15th. A summit that broke Moscow's isolation in the West was yielded no breakthrough on Ukraine. Despite Trump's insistence that he can broker a quick end to the war, Russia has not only kept up its barrage of attacks on Ukraine in the past month, but rattled nerves with drone on-air incursions in NATO member Poland, Estonia, and Romania. Trump said last week that Putin had really let me down. There you have it. I don't. Yeah, I mean, look, when people are in war, they're gonna say one thing and then do the other thing, right? Anyways, there you have it. That was sort of this person's kind of synopsis on Trump's speech. Anyways, with that, I'm gonna call it for this actual article. If you want to see this article, I'll leave it in the description, yeah, as usual. Alright, there you have it.